The story begins by showing the Arctic Ocean, where Julia and Oscar were installing a sonar device in the water and conducting some experiments, when suddenly Oscar receives an emergency call in which he's warned about an approaching storm and is told to leave the area as quickly as possible. On the other hand, we see a Russian submarine detecting a high-intensity noise coming from a distance, and then they notice that the sea level is slowly rising upward. Seeing this, the team becomes very surprised. Meanwhile, Julia's scanners also start giving wrong readings, and the ice around the camp begins to crack. Seeing this, Oscar comes to Julia and tells her to leave quickly because they no longer have much time left. But Julia wants to complete her experiment before leaving. Seeing the worsening weather, she agrees with Oscar and sits on his snowmobile, and both of them start leaving from there. But the ice was breaking even faster than they had imagined. Meanwhile, inside the submarine, the team now realizes that the sounds they were hearing were not actually ocean waves, but something biological, meaning that some living creature is present in the sea. Before the team can understand anything else, suddenly a giant creature collides with their submarine, and all the emergency alarms start ringing. The team feels as if the creature has grabbed their submarine and is pulling it downward at a very high speed. On the other side, we see Julia and Oscar trying to escape from there to save their lives because the ice behind them keeps breaking continuously. When suddenly Oscar notices a storm of ice rising in front of them, which is extremely terrifying. Oscar becomes very frightened, and because of losing balance in this panic, his snowmobile crashes into an ice rock and explodes. By the time they regain consciousness, their camp has already been destroyed by the storm. Underwater, the submarine is being continuously attacked, and the one attacking it is none other than the same giant creature. To stop it, the team starts firing at it. In the light, they see some huge tentacles of the creature. Before the team can learn anything more about those tentacles, the creature attacks the submarine again and destroys it. But just before sinking, at the last moment, the captain orders the team to release an emergency signal so that when the signal is received, their navy can come to rescue them quickly. The very next day, the Russian Marine headquarters receives that signal, through which they find out about their submarine going missing. Hearing this news, the officers are shocked because that submarine was carrying very powerful weapons. Therefore, the officers now order a rescue team to retrieve those weapons and appoint Victor as the leader of this team, who was actually the brother of the missing submarine's captain. So when Victor's mother learns that he is going on a mission to bring back the weapons, she is very worried at first, but then she gives Victor his father's watch as a good luck charm, whose father was no longer alive. Victor takes the watch and leaves home to go on the mission, where he meets his father's old friend, Admiral Olshansky, who had somewhat angry nature and had also been made part of this mission by headquarters. Now, as soon as Victor enters the submarine, many crew members complain to him and say that what has happened that they have been called back even before their holidays ended. Hearing this, Victor does not tell them anything yet. After this, we see Julia and Oscar wandering around in that icy storm, and now their courage is completely broken because they neither have any food supplies nor a place to stay. Besides this, there is no signal on the satellite phone either. But Julia wants to get out of here at any cost. Therefore, while searching for a signal, she reaches near a deep ravine and is about to fall into it when Oscar comes and saves her. When Julia checks the phone, signals have now appeared on it. Seeing this, Julia quickly contacts an oil rig company, but the storm noise is so loud that the company member cannot understand even a single word of Julia, and after a few seconds, the call gets disconnected because the signal disappears. Julia and Oscar's courage is now almost finished. Still, Oscar fires a flare gun with one last hope of survival when Julia notices something on the ice surface ahead, where a red light is shining. But what is it? To find out, both of them run toward that light, and when they reach near it, they realize that it is the same emergency signal that was released by the captain of the missing submarine. And both of them knew very well that while searching for this signal, the Russian army would definitely come here. Therefore, Julia tells Oscar to stay here. Meanwhile, after traveling for many hours, Victor's submarine now reaches the location where his brother's submarine had gone missing. Besides this, they also now know the location of the emergency signal. Therefore, Victor tells his team to head to this place. But after reaching here, Victor does not find any submarine. Instead, he finds two exhausted geologists whose condition is very bad. So Victor quickly takes them into his submarine. However, he had a hidden purpose behind doing this. Actually, through Julia and Oscar, he wanted to find out what had happened to his brother's submarine. And when he asks Julia this question, she also has no answer to it. She tells Victor that at first, she thought that all this had happened because of the explosion of their sonar device, which caused a seaquake. But when she checked her equipment, none of the devices had recorded an earthquake that day. Seeing this, Julia becomes sure that such a terrible disturbance cannot be caused by an earthquake, but by some sea creature. As soon as Victor hears this, he remembers a mysterious incident from the previous day. Actually, when they were about to enter the Arctic Circle, their radar caught a strange signal, which was actually a herd of whales, and that herd kept colliding with their submarine repeatedly, as if deliberately trying to stop Victor from moving forward. But Admiral Olshansky orders to release a low-frequency signal to drive them away. However, Victor refuses to do so because it could harm the whales. But Admiral Olshansky does not listen to him at all. As soon as the low frequency is turned on, all the whales move away, but then they return again. Seeing this, the team members are surprised when suddenly they receive another strange signal from the depths of the sea, and the whales start moving away one by one. When the team members check this signal, they see a giant creature that in a single strike makes a whale its prey and then starts moving toward their submarine. Therefore, Admiral Olshansky orders to attack it, but Victor stops him, saying that they cannot attack something like this. After that, he orders to take the submarine into a nearby icy crack because he was sure that such a big creature would not be able to enter this narrow crack. And that is exactly what happens. Victor's team follows his order and hides the submarine deep in the sea, which the creature cannot see, and getting tired, it leaves. In this way, Victor's one decision saved everyone's life that day. When Victor hears Julia's story, he understands that this is the same creature that broke the ice and destroyed their first submarine. Now Julia, who is a Swedish citizen, had believed in sea monsters since childhood. Therefore, she does not want to be part of this terrible game anymore. She requests Victor and says, "Take me and Oscar to the same oil rig company that I contacted, because I think this creature will not be able to reach there." When Victor checks the company's location, he finds that it is not very far from here, so he sets out to drop both of them there. But on the way, once again the team notices the same strange signal on their screens. However, they cannot see that the creature is now slowly moving toward them from under the ground. Just as they reach near the rig company and are about to contact the in-charge there, movement starts in the sea. Along with strong waves, many huge tentacles come out from the water and destroy the strong steel rig company in moments. When Victor looks outside through the telescope, he sees the real form of the creature, which is actually a very large octopus. After seeing its face, all the team members are shocked, but before they can understand anything, the company is completely swallowed by the sea. Therefore, now Victor's team has no other option except to escape from here, while after destroying the rig, the octopus moves toward their submarine. Seeing this, Admiral Olshansky angrily takes command into his own hands and orders the team to fire 2 torpedoes, but it is useless because the octopus is still alive and has become even angrier due to the attack. It starts moving rapidly toward their submarine. Seeing this, Admiral Olshansky becomes very scared and hands over the command back to Victor. As soon as Victor gets command, he orders to turn the foreign submarine in another direction. In this way, they escape the octopus's attack, but one tentacle collides with their submarine. Because of this, the submarine's parts get damaged and it starts sinking into the sea. After this, we see that the octopus attacks them again, due to which a fire breaks out in the torpedo room and about 7 people get trapped there. Then the octopus makes another attack and tries to sink the submarine downward and surrounds them from all sides. Seeing this, Victor tells all the team members to remain in silent mode because sea creatures are often attracted by sound. Therefore, Victor orders everyone to stay quiet and also stops the fire extinguishing work. Because of this, carbon monoxide starts increasing in the torpedo room. But Victor's plan succeeds. When the Kraken does not hear any sound, it leaves from there, and as soon as it goes, the injured people are taken out of the torpedo room and their treatment begins, in which Oscar and Julia also help Victor and win the crew's trust. Later, Julia tells Victor about the Kraken and says that according to stories, Krakens sleep for years, but Julia's explosions may have awakened it from deep sleep. Therefore, now it wants to take revenge on these people. If they want to stay alive, they must turn off the sonar. Further, she also tells that octopuses drag their prey into caves after hunting, which means that Victor's brother's submarine should also be near Julia's old camp. While they are talking, an officer hears a strange signal from a recording made during silent mode, which is coming from the same location as Julia's camp. Victor now explains to his crew and decides to go to that dangerous place to save his brother and the others. But some crew members do not agree with him because they say that their weapons cannot face that terrifying octopus, so they should leave as soon as possible. But Victor wants to fulfill his responsibility as a captain. Therefore, even without the crew's consent, he sets out to find the submarine, after which the crew members are forced to accompany him unwillingly. Now they reach a very dangerous ravine. To go down into it, Victor uses a mini submarine and takes 2 officers with him. Down in the ravine, they find hundreds of sunken ships, meaning that Julia's story about the Kraken was not a lie, but the truth. During this, they also find Victor's brother's submarine, whose front part is somewhat intact. Therefore, Victor connects his mini submarine to this part, and when he goes inside, he sees his brother Alexander and his crew who are still alive. Seeing his brother alive, Victor feels extremely happy and also surprised, because surviving from the Kraken for so many days was not an ordinary thing. When he asks Alexander this question, he tells him that they had used silent mode to escape from the Kraken, and that is how they survived. Now, because there is little space in the mini submarine, Victor decides to evacuate the crew members in 2 rounds, and in the first round, he sends 1 team in the submarine while he himself stays there with his brother. But as soon as this team reaches halfway, we see that the Kraken wakes up again. Meanwhile, Victor and Alexander try to activate the special missiles, and after a lot of effort, when the computer turns on, the missile gets activated. At the same time, the Kraken is about to attack the main submarine when suddenly a tracker accidentally starts from the mini submarine. Attracted by its sound, the Kraken moves toward it. Meanwhile, Admiral Olshansky takes advantage of the situation and orders the main submarine to go up to the surface of the sea, while Victor and Alexander enter the code into the missile and turn it on. But by then, the Kraken has come very close to them. Now its tentacles start gripping Victor's submarine. Seeing this, before dying, both brothers talk to each other through the radio and apologize for their mistakes, but they still do not lose courage, and before the Kraken can destroy the submarine, together they press the switch and cause a powerful blast. Because of this, the Kraken gets burned in fire, and a beam of light is seen piercing through the Arctic ice and going into the sky. Now the submarine starts sinking completely, and water begins to fill it. Seeing this, both brothers run toward the mini submarine, but a strong wave separates them. Victor holds Alexander's hand and tries to save him and somehow brings him into the mini submarine. But the problem is that now the mini submarine cannot separate from the sinking ship, while the missile is going to blast in a few seconds. In this difficult situation, Victor suddenly remembers the emergency lever. He pulls it with all his strength, after which the mini submarine escapes just before the blast. On the surface, along with Admiral Olshansky, the entire crew is waiting for both of them. But after a long time passes and there is no hope of Victor and his brother coming back, they become disappointed and start leaving. But then the mini submarine emerges by cutting through the water, with Victor and Alexander inside. After seeing them, the entire crew jumps with joy and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. After that, Victor hands over his father's watch to Alexander. But Alexander refuses to take it and tells Victor, "You are the real owner of this watch, so you keep it with you." After some time, their entire crew reaches Russia, and both brothers meet their family. And in this way, the dangerous and seemingly impossible mission finally becomes successful, and the movie ends here.